Well, welcome to the little discussion thing that we have for the Nintendo Direct that released on March 27th of 2025. I don't think a whole lot of people were expecting too much out of this anyway, but yeah, no, it was an interesting little Direct. I just wanted to kind of talk about it and put my thoughts out here real quick. So we started off with Dragon Quest 1 plus 2 HD 2D remake, which was a nice little thing to see. I think, with the release of 3 this past holiday, and then immediately being like, oh, hey, by the way, reason why it's taking so long is because we've been working on these other 2 games, is pretty cool. The fact that they're, sharing more information about it and even having some new stuff to it. So it's not just a remake. We're expanding a little bit more on it, which is always great. It's always nice. No confirmed release date just yet, just plain 2025. But, I mean, you'll kind of see that is a little bit of a pattern with this Direct. However you want to take that is up to you. But this, I feel like, is probably fine. Next up with the first batch of little headlines, including a brand new title from Spike Chunsoft, No Sleep for Kaname Date. It looked like a Spike Chunsoft game. That's all I'm gonna say. July 25th, 2025. That is pretty cool. And then a remaster of Raito from Sega and Atlas. That is always great. That releases on June 19th, so you don't have to wait too much longer if you are a fan of the Raito series. Next up, we got new details on Shadow Labyrinth. Now, this was talked about at the 2024 Game Awards, but now you've kind of gotten a grander idea of what this game is going to be like. It's kind of formatted almost like, not necessarily a Metroidvania with, upgrades and stuff like that, but essentially like that. It's a 2D platformer with Pac-Man and a mech for some reason. If you told me 20 years ago that this is what Pac-Man was going to evolve into, I don't think anybody would have believed you, much less me. But either way, we got a confirmed release date for that. That is July 18th. And let me tell you, this was not a Nintendo Direct. This was a Bandai Direct, because Bandai has been at the forefront of so many things this Direct, with release dates, for the most part, all of them within, not too long of each other. Case in point, the very next announcement was Patapon 1 plus 2. Now, I'm not familiar with the Patapon series, but, seeing something as kind of unique and interesting as this, and it's coming out the week before Shadow Labyrinth. What are they doing over there? Okay, now this was the big one that I think a lot of people were really looking forward to seeing. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. A little weird that this took place at the, right smack in the middle of this presentation. But you know what? What we saw looked really good. Got, a whole new detailed trailer talking about pretty much the big thing of this game being Samus's new psychic abilities. So, meaning that she can interact with the little things going on in the area, opening doors, traversing where your shot is going. That's an interesting way to kind of take things, and I think it could be really interesting. I'm a little worried that maybe the trajectory of your beam might slow things down just a little bit, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing for a game like Metroid Prime. But I don't know. I'm excited to give it a try. The only issue is we don't know when. Because again, still, I was kind of hoping for a release date for this, but just coming in 2025. No confirmed release date just yet, which means it will probably be a holiday title. And if that's the case, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's fine. I don't know why. I was just kind of really hoping for something today, whether it was, a very close to release thing, or just like a hey, it's coming out in September, October, whenever it is. Look forward to it then. But at least we would have had something to grip onto. During the second batch of Nintendo Switch headlines, there was a an interesting announcement, the Rift of the Necrodancer game is getting shadow dropped later today on Nintendo Switch. It's meaning you can now play this on Nintendo Switch whenever. And on top of that, there's also going to be DLC collaborating with different games. So the one that they really teased being Celeste, but then also you got a tease to upcoming ones like Pizza Tower. So I think that'll be pretty cool for Necrodancer fans, or even Cadence of Hyrule, because that's the same developer. And then this was, I think, kind of an interesting, I've been saying interesting a lot, but this was really like one that kind of came out of left field for some people. A new Tamagotchi game. Sure. Alright, yeah. I mean, you play as a Tamagotchi, you help stores do good and be better, and more people will come to your town and interact with those stores. You can meet up with a whole bunch of Tamagotchi. That's pretty cool. And again, Bandai Namco. Available June 27th, which is not too far away from the other two games that they are doing. They are on something, I'm telling you. But a new Tamagotchi game is always pretty cool. Next up was a very interesting surprise. Pokemon Legends ZA got some kind of feature. I didn't think that was going to happen in the slightest. And honestly, I thought it was just going to be a lot of rehashed information that we got at last month's Pokemon Presents. No, there was actually a decent amount of new stuff being talked about. One of which being how they're kind of taking inspiration from Pikmin 4. And whenever it's nighttime in the city, things kind of turn in a more like a more threatening aura. There's something called the ZA Royale, where you have a trainer rank, and you can fight other trainers of ranks and rank up and go all the way from Z to A. That's the name of the game. But you know what? I wasn't expecting to see anything from Pokemon at all. So that was pretty cool. Again, no release date, which I expected. Just late 2025. Once again, probably see something in the summer about it, I hope. And next up was one that made a lot of fans happy until it didn't. A brand new Rhythm Heaven game got teased almost. Rhythm Heaven Groove. They only showed like a little bit of it. They didn't really go into too much detail about anything. They showcased a little bit of what you can expect, showed off the logo for the game, and immediately hit with 2026. That made my heart hurt for anyone who is interested in this game. Very just odd for Nintendo to talk about this today. Like, why? If it was something for next year, you could have held on to that a little bit. You could have waited. But I don't know. I think they just honestly just needed something to kind of show off here. And Rhythm Heaven just happened to be ready enough to showcase a little bit of. So they're like, all right, put her in the trailer. Why not? And so here we go. But knowing a new game is coming is always very exciting. Okay, so here's this part, and even as I was watching it, I got very confused. Not confused, but I'm perplexed at what this is. They were talking about how they were going to change the way that they were doing digital games, which is already like something you're like, oh, okay, what's going on here? They announced, was it virtual game cards, where you can essentially take one game card from your Switch and just put it over to the other one and just play it as normal if you put it on another Switch. So in theory, I could just take a game like Pikmin 4 on my standard Switch, move everything over to my Switch OLED without having to deal with any physical game card, and everything should just work as just fine, which is really, I mean, I don't hate the idea. I'm a little curious at how exactly that is going to work out, because obviously they've just shown off a bunch of first-party games working with it. I wonder if that's all that's going to be part of it, or if it's going to apply to all digital purchases made on Nintendo eShop. And if that's the case, then are they going to have to, restructure contracts with developers or publishers, or I don't really know how that's going to work. That's a lot of mumbo jumbo that no one outside of, people who actually are, it's their job to kind of look deeper into this to really worry about. So this was the other cool thing about this. You could loan out a virtual game card to other family members in your Nintendo account family. So if, say, I had a separate account that I, had registered to my family, I could just use the same virtual game card for that. It's essentially acting as if you have a physical game card and can just, and then there you go. So it's a neat little way to kind of help blur the line between physical and digital, not in like a literal sense, but almost in like they act similarly to each other. Like you can take a physical game card out, put it into another Switch, and then you can play the game. You can almost do the same thing with digital games. And this was confirmed to work with Nintendo Switch 2 as well, which again is weird that they would talk about it today and not next week. You'd think that they would save something like that for a thing next week, but that was not the case. They said that feature was going to be rolled out in late April. So, we're kind of, as we're getting to April and the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, we're going to see more things kind of talked about that for that. And don't worry, we'll get into that too. Next up was a sizzle reel talking about some games coming to Nintendo Switch, including High on Life, which was, I honestly didn't think that was ever going to make its way here, but it's coming out May 6th. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to wait too long if you've been waiting on that one. A remaster of Saga Frontier 2 got shadow dropped as well. And you know me, unfortunately, I don't play a whole lot of RPGs, but anyone who does, I think that is pretty cool. Leave it to Nintendo to announce a brand new entry in the Everybody's Golf series. Yeah, you heard me right. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots. Okay. I mean, it's Everybody's Golf. I could have swore, maybe I'm going crazy, but I could have swore that was a PlayStation IP, and the fact that it's coming to Nintendo is a little off-putting. But again, available in 2025 by Bandai Namco. What in the world is going on over there? A new 2D side-scroller got announced for Marvel Cosmic Invasion. This is pretty cool if you like Marvel stuff. You can team up with up to 4 players. You can switch between 2 different superheroes, and just kind of wreck town on anyone trying to invade. That's coming out this holiday. That is pretty cool. And finally, we had the last game announcement of the Nintendo Direct. A brand new Tomodachi Life game. Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. Now, I'm not going to say I willed this into existence, because I know so many people have wanted this game. However, I kind of threw that out there yesterday as just wouldn't this be funny? And now I'm laughing. I think it's cool that a new Tomodachi Life game is coming out. I am a little concerned about the performance of it because it looked a little rough, but you know what? That's okay, because that's coming out in 2026 too. So they have time to kind of smooth things out, which again, why talk about it now if it's coming out next year? I think we're all just a little used to Nintendo announcing things and then being like, oh, by the way, it's available in like 3 months, 2 months now. And so when we see something like this, be like, oh, this is coming out next year, you're like, why is it next year though? I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just too used to Nintendo being like, oh, you can expect this in like 3 weeks or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it's me. So that was the last game announcement, but that was not the end of the Nintendo Direct, because at the end of everything, they brought on Shigeru Miyamoto himself to talk about a new smartphone app. Nintendo Today is what it's called, just being a way for Nintendo to just get news out to anyone who has the app. And you know what? That's pretty cool. They have daily things. It's just, talking about anything that they feel like putting out on that thing. And I'm a little intrigued to see how that is going to play out, especially next week with the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. They did say that after that, they were going to share news about Nintendo Switch 2 daily on that platform. And it's available to download later today. So if you're really just in the hunch to download a new Nintendo app, there you go, there's something. But that was the end of the Nintendo Direct. Overall, I think it was about as good as it could be without taking anything away from next week. I think the amount of games that were talked about was enough to satiate and be considered a full Direct. Way less first-party games than we're used to, but that's fine. We still have a whole thing to look forward to next week, so it's not like they're slowing down. They're just being very picky and choosy on what they show off. So I think knowing a new Rhythm Heaven and a new Tomodachi Life game is coming is great. The wait for next year is going to be a little rough, but we'll get there together, right? But of course, we want to know, how did you feel about today's Nintendo Direct? Were there any announcements that made you be like, wow, I have to buy a 4th Switch? Or were you just like, okay, yeah, sure, I guess. Head on over to the comments section and let us know your thoughts. And I guess we'll be right back here next week for the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay updated on all things Oops All Games and News Channel 20.